Hello, I'm Marcin Mikos and you're watching World Talks. According to the White House, Vladimir Putin agreed to meet with Vladimir Zelenskyy to discuss peace. But as much as the US president wants peace, pushing for an agreement that would end the war, it seems that Russia tries to slow down the whole process. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, in his latest interview, seemed to have suggested that prior to the real talks, experts meeting is required. And so, to discuss it all, we're joined by Yevheniia Kravchuk, Deputy Chair of the Ukrainian Committee on Humanitarian and Information Policy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my pleasure.
So, do you think that Vladimir Putin will actually agree to meet with President Zelenskyy? What do you know of what do you make of the signals from Russia? Because it seems that the Kremlin is not convinced whether this meeting should take place now or in the near future.
Well, I was sure that Kremlin, Russia will be dragging their feet in this peace process. And obviously, it's only President Trump who can actually bring Putin to the table of negotiation, because obviously Trump wants to not to have another, half year of war. So we do thank President Trump on that position. Of course, the devil is in the details, and these coming weeks, I think the biggest challenge will be how to draft the security guarantees for Ukraine that could actually be trusted, other than another Budapest agreement that we have in 1994. So basically, we will never believe Russia in any of the, reassurance that they will not attack Ukraine or other European countries, never again. They cannot be trusted. But we can believe the security guarantees of Europe, not just European Union and countries of European Union, but broader, for example, Great Britain, but also United States. But yes, we will see this. They will try not to have the leaders meeting. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm also wondering, how is the Russian audience, reacting to news of the potential meeting between President Zelenskyy and Putin, because the Ukrainian leader has been long portrayed in Russian propaganda media as a Nazi, an illegal leader of Ukraine, a Satanist, if I'm not mistaken. So what would it mean for Putin's public image if he was to sit with Zelenskyy and discuss peace?
Well, they will not have any other choice, because without Ukraine, the fate of this end of the war cannot be decided. Of course, Putin would like to have a capitulation if someone would just bring a capitulation on the plate for him. But we proved that Ukraine will fight for its own future. But I would not rather think about what Russian audience will think, because they have such strong propaganda, and they're like, their brain is under the fog. Look how, they for many years, they portrayed United States as the biggest rival, as the enemy. And then there was meeting between President Trump and Putin, and all of the propagandists were giving acknowledgement to Trump. And they even put some video, I don't know if you saw it or showed it in your program, when they put on Russian tank, yes, armored vehicle with both flags, Russian and American. It's, sort of unimaginable in that sort of propaganda they lead for many years, that America is the biggest enemy.
All right, so you can sell anything to Russians. But talking about the meeting, where would this potential meeting take place? Because we know that President Zelenskyy has already ruled out Moscow as the potential venue of such a summit.
Well, obviously, Ukraine is not ready to meet in Moscow and Belarus, right? In any of the allies, or North Korea or Iran, obviously, all of the allies of Putin. But again, there are some restrictions. I can remind you for Putin himself, because the arrest warrant from the ICC, International Criminal Court, is in place. And obviously, he will be afraid to travel to any of the countries who signed the Rome Statute, meaning they're part of the ICC, because when he steps to that soil, the country's authorities would have to arrest him. So obviously, that will be a restriction for sure.
Budapest then.
Budapest, that was the, I don't know how it came up, but actually Hungary withdrew from the ICC, from they put away their signature. But again, I think in the terms of the Budapest Agreement that was in 1994 and didn't have, as we saw now, any, a solid influence, then probably that would not be the best place to have another, memorandum or something like that.
I see. Now, talking about security guarantees, do you know any details of the agreement that was discussed by the US and European leaders, of course, with President Zelenskyy this Monday in Washington?
Well, obviously, the biggest, framework of this discussion was that Europe will be part of it, but of course, we would like to have United States as the part of it. And President Trump didn't say no, so America will be considering the way how to be engaged, involved in the security guarantees. So I think this is probably the most important part. But then, as I understood, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State of United States, will be chairing this sort of like a working group to draft actual, the paper that could be signed, and the security guarantees would be put on paper. But actually, it should be, very practical, but in different spheres. For example, in the air, what will happen if, 5 years from now, Russian missile will be heading to Kiev? What will the partners, allies, will do? There was a very good idea, but I think it was by Prime Minister Meloni, that she mentioned some sort of the fifth article of NATO, but not in NATO, but between the countries that will be guarantors for Ukraine, basically meaning that the attack for Ukraine will be considered as an attack to other countries.
And we know that Donald Trump is considering protecting Ukraine's skies, if not sending his soldiers to Ukraine per se. Now, do you think that Viktor Orban will listen to Donald Trump and stop blocking Ukraine's accession process to the EU?
Well, I think that actually the influence of President Trump could be a decision, and actual membership in EU, of course, was all of the homework from Ukraine that has to be done, could be part of the broader picture of some guarantees after the war. And I'm sure that United States, since they also signed the investment agreement with Ukraine, they genuinely want Ukraine to be in EU because it's very, it's pragmatic. It means that there will be high standards in judicial systems, in business climate. So I'm sure it could be part of the broader picture. And yes, Trump, I'm sure, could influence Orban.
Now, Donald Trump, on the other hand, seems to believe he has some special relationship with Vladimir Putin, and that Vladimir Putin intends to end the conflict in Ukraine just to please Donald Trump. Now, how would you comment on such an approach?
I would not comment on that at all.
Lastly, do you think that Donald Trump can change his mind again? Because now he seems, rather to be supporting the European peace efforts. But what if his friend Vladimir Putin calls again and changes his mind?
I mean, it's very difficult to get into someone else's head, but I think it's extremely important that President Zelenskyy was in Washington, D.C. not alone, but with all of these European leaders and also the President of European Commission and the Secretary General of NATO, because that means that Ukraine is part of security in Europe, and all of these leaders, they said the security of Ukraine is security of Europe. And I think it's what Trump wanted, because he wanted Europe to be involved more in the security in their home on the continent. So I think it's a plus, and it's also important to keep this connection, these discussions on the level of the ministers of foreign affairs of different levels, to keep that up. But even with NATO, remember how many there were articles, the United States will withdraw, just end it. But at the end of the day, there was this decision about 5% that it was okay with Trump and the United States as such. And they are part of this alliance and will be part of this alliance. It's important as well, because that's real partners. And Russia is an enemy. It's written black on white that Russia is a threat to the alliance and to the members of NATO.
Yevheniia Kravchuk, Deputy Chair of the Ukrainian Committee on Humanitarian and Information Policy, was our guest this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching. We have much more coming up here on TVP World.